What's up, YouTube? Welcome to part 2 of my C4 Corvette installation video. At the moment, we're still in the disassembly phase. There's quite a few things I want to get done in this video, including getting a lot of the turbo piping up on top here out of the way. I want to try to get it down to just the basic motor, just to clear up the engine bay, get everything I don't need out of there. Still need to take the gearbox out, disconnect the lines, get rid of all that stuff. The Kmember is still in the car. I'd like that to be out, and hopefully I can get all that done and start fabricating the top brace I talked about last video to hold the motor in place, and the lower brace so that I can jack the car up. So without further ado, let's get going. One down. Alright, so we've got the turbo piping out of the way now. Next I'm going to move over to the gearbox, drop that out of the way, and I think I want to take the downpipe out, and after that I believe we're going to start doing some fabricating. Alright, now first I'm going to pull the pitman arm off and do that. I've got my 33mm socket here. Use that to pop that nut off quick. Hopefully quick, I should say. We'll see how it goes. Well, that worked out well, actually. Oh, now the nut's off. I've got the pitman arm puller here, and I'm going to get that set up on here, and that will obviously pull our pitman arm off the gearbox. Alright, let's give it a shot. Alright, well, that actually went a little smoother than I thought, but like I always say, it definitely helps having the right tool for the job. So there's our pitman arm. Let's get this gearbox out. Alright, now I'm going to pop off the 18mm lines off the gearbox for the pressure and the return. Alright, so we've got our lines off the gearbox now, pitman arms off, The steering shaft's disconnected. So that gearbox is ready to come out. Let's pull it out. Alright, to get access to the gearbox, I'm just going to take a few of the bolts off on the inner fender shield here, and that'll give me some room. And then I believe there's a brace right here that goes up to the battery tray area. That brace is going to have to come off, and then we can get to our gearbox bolts. You can see there's two of them right here, and there's one more hiding up behind all that stuff. Alright, now that's out of the way. Alright, brace out of the way. Last but not least, time to take out the gearbox. Alright, gearbox is out. And I know you guys, alright, I told you guys I updated my gearbox in the last video and I still wasn't happy with it. I actually made a mistake. It's not a 600 series, it's a Delphi 670 series. And you can usually tell because they've got this aluminum front section on them here. But basically these are supposed to be one of the top-notch gearbox on the market. They have very little on-center play, and they're supposed to give you a much firmer steering wheel feel, similar to rack and pinion. And I spent a lot of money on this. I think I had mentioned I spent $1,200 on this gearbox. And honestly, it was much better than what was in the car. But you could tell the on-center play was very minimized. But the problem is that the car still wandered like crazy street driving with a 275 front tire. And that's the biggest problem with gearbox steering. That's what gearbox steering has always been known for. A lot of guys that say that their car is fine and it steers fine are normally the guys that are running stock size tires, which I think the biggest tire that came on a third gen was a 245. But once you start running a wider tire, the gearbox steering just goes out the window. So looking forward to feeling the difference between this and the rack and pinion on the vet setup. Oh, let's continue on anyways. Alright, time to take the downpipe out of the way, and I don't know, I think just eyeballing it, that's probably one of the last things in the way before I can take the Kmember out after I make the brace for the top. So, getting excited. more difficult than I remember it, but it's out. It's getting a little scary. That's a lot of parts. But you know what they say, things have to get worse before they can get better. So they'll get better at some point. I hope. Alright, I just wanted to take a quick intermission here to bring something up quick. In dismantling my whole front end, I kind of got a quick concern. And I figured, you know, I wonder, just for the heck of it, what everything I'm taking off weighs as opposed to the vet suspension parts. Because, I mean, weight's not a big concern of mine, but it is nice to have a relatively light car. And I got the, you know, kind of a crude method, but I got the digital scale inside. Weighed myself, and I basically just held every piece part, and then was able to rig the Corvette suspension up on the scale to see what that weighed. So I just want to let you guys know, everything I've taken off my car so far, except the Kmember. I haven't even taken the Kmember off and weighed that. I believe that those weigh around 40 pounds or so, 45 pounds. I'm not 100% sure. But everything that came off my car, combined, I'm up to 181 pounds so far. That's all the third gen stuff. You know, that's the knuckles, the struts, the gearbox, A-arms, sway bar, all that stuff. So 181 pounds. The Corvette suspension with the sway bar weighs 130 pounds. The whole thing, Kmember, steering rack, everything, is 130 pounds. The only thing that suspension setup is missing right now is the coilovers, which I don't know what they're going to weigh, but it's, you know, a small, short little shock with a small spring. So I can't imagine them weighing any more than, I would say off the top of my head, maybe 20 pounds. But you figure that's 150 pounds for the whole Corvette suspension. And I've already taken 180 pounds off or 181 pounds off the car, not including the Kmember. So that's already 30 pounds down. If the Kmember does weigh about 40 pounds, that's roughly 70 pounds that I'm taking off the front of this car just by putting that Corvette suspension on. That's huge. I'm actually kind of blown away right now that that much weight is coming off with that suspension. So there's one more benefit for the Corvette suspension, is that it is much lighter, and I'm using aftermarket stuff. I mean, I'm using a lightweight Kmember, lightweight A-arms. I've got stuff on here that's actually quite a bit lighter than stock. So if you were to put the Corvette suspension in your car and took off stock stuff, the weight savings would be absolutely huge. But yeah, anyways, I'm a little more excited now. So let's continue on. Alright guys, welcome to my driveway workshop. I am actually going to start fabbing up the Wunderbar that's going to go in the front of the car, so I can jack it up and down as I need to while I'm fitting the suspension. So let's get started cutting and welding. Alright guys, as you can see, the engine brace is coming along nice. The last step pretty much is that I need to put a couple tack welds on this because there's going to be no way for me to get this thing straight and not be able to tack it while it's on the car. So going to get a couple tack welds on here, finish welding it up, and last thing will be to run some beams down to the engine at whatever threaded holes we have available and hook this thing up. So let's do it. So we've got our engine brace made up now, fully finished. As you can see, it bolts to the strut towers here, runs across. It's got supports that go down and bolt to the sides of the cylinder heads on both sides. I'm going to say our engine is nice and sturdy now so that we can remove this Kmember. So let's get that out, last piece of the puzzle. Let's drop it down, keep our fingers crossed. Kmember is out. We are finally there. Car is as stripped down as it should get to start fitting the C4 suspension. So now the fun begins. Well, guys, that's about going to wrap it up for part 2 of the video series. But we're at the point now where we can start working on the actual Corvette suspension to get that in. And I know these first 2 videos have been, you know, a little boring, me just taking the car apart. And I'm sure you've all been waiting to see the actual fabrication and getting the Corvette suspension into the car. But I wanted this video series to pretty much be, you know, from the beginning, me starting with a full car altogether and progressing to the point where it had the Corvette suspension in it. So with that said, video 3 is going to be where it's going to start to get interesting. So keep watching, and you know, when vid 3 comes out, we're going to actually start getting into some of the cool stuff, you know, cutting, fabricating, fitting this thing in. And back to the giveaway too. I've got the caster camber plates here. I know I mentioned it in my first video, but basically I'd like to hit 3,000 subscribers to give these away. I'm not going to put any kind of time limit on it. Just basically, you know, when I hit 3,000 subscribers, I'll make an announcement, and we'll figure out some way to give these away. At the moment, I believe I'm at about a little over 1,500 subscribers. So roughly, you know, if I can hit another 1,500 subscribers, then one of you guys are going to win the caster camera plates. So stay tuned for that, and like always, keep watching the channel. Subscribe if you like what you see. You know, if you guys have any tips for me, if you want to see anything, feel free to let me know. You know, I'm willing to do whatever it takes, whatever you guys want to see, I'll add in the videos. So I'm always open for tips in that. But like always, you know, I appreciate you guys watching me and following along. So thank you very much. Talk to you guys later.